by putting in effort, and whether that be putting in effort by growing vegetables and toiling it and building a shelter over their head, whether it be like that, or whether it be by going to a job to get money to pay for those things if you can't get them yourself. Either way, I think that's I haven't yet made up my mind on that, because like I think that like for me, for example, when I get anything for free, it doesn't work well with my personality. I can't appreciate it on the level that I should be. I have to work for a lot of things. Is that my conditioning?
No, that's because you're conflicted with the position that you want to be in and the position that you've been born into. You know, because if you were born into, and this is all it comes down to, all the economic system, just like a religion, just like anything, it's all just a belief system which you've been born into. It's nothing more. It's nothing more. It's nothing less. It's a belief system. If you were born in like the old example, if you were born as a Nazi, you'd grow up to hating Jews. If you were born in a world that had no money and had no monetary incentive, then you wouldn't seek one. And I like to think of that world as a more pure world because it's got no artificial tendency to it. You know what I mean? You're not doing it for an artificial reason. You're not going out to do your job to, like, why would I, if I didn't have a monetary incentive to pollute the planet, then why would I do it?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? If I got waste to dump and and it's cheaper for me to dump it here than more environmentally friendly place, then I'm obviously going to do where it's more cheap because I got shareholders that I need to keep happy and I want to keep my job and I want to get my bonus.
The incentive of profit clouds any other reason and motivations as to why you would do anything else, and it always beats everything else. That's
what we see in the world at the moment. That's what we see. Like the great Shane Smith, he says, if there's one chance on the roulette wheel, if there's one chance that we could land on total world destruction because of climate change, because of burning fossil fuel, then we should fucking do something about it. We should get our fucking shit together and we should say, even if there's 1 out of 26, on the roulette wheel that, okay, there's a possibility that sooner or later we're not going to be able to stop this and we're going to fuck it up. And, we should, have a fucking whatever meeting, a UN meeting and this and that. We should get together and we can go, guys, we need to go down more renewable energy line.
There's two main...
But big business is much too important for us to be able to come to those sort of conclusions. Because the biggest industries in the world burn fossil fuel. Quite plainly and simply.
Yeah, so
nothing will change.
Saying what goes on.
Nothing will change.
But we've got this money system and this strange economy, and however it is that we've chosen to, be humans on this planet as a community and try and trade with each other and whatever, we create this system. And I think there's two major things the reasons that we need to reassess it and start to look at ways we can do it better. And one is that it's hurting the environment. The actual system itself is hurting the environment, and there is absolutely no way that we can continue doing what we're doing without further damage to the environment. The whole system itself is inherently against nature. And that's one problem. The other problem is that it does not foster equality. It does not help every human being on the planet to have the best life they can possibly have. And that's not because, it's not the way the cookie crumbles. That's bullshit. It is not the way the cookie crumbles. The system itself does it. It's not because people are lazy, that's why they're poor. It's the way the system is. The system has made this happen with the poor countries.
Just to go back to what you say, it definitely has environment. I watched this documentary the other day on Feng Shui. I don't know. The most polluted city in the world is in China. In China, and it's basically China's coal distribution region, and apparently if you live there, it's equivalent of smoking 3.5 packs of cigarettes a day, and the whole thing is you can't even see in front of you because it's so polluted. And it's these, I'm not saying China's a third world country, most of it is, but it's these third world countries that are the real issue to climate problems, because you've got this growth paradigm in the economy, and we'll touch on this a lot in this podcast, but this growth paradigm which is nothing works unless we grow, and you got these people deforesting all of Indonesia, like they're pretty much done. Like deforesting all these third world countries. Even America's, I think 97% of old growth forests in America are gone. And Indonesia's nearly done, and then they're just deforesting the Amazon like no fucking tomorrow. And these countries, they get paid nothing for the wood, so we get it, so the Western world gets it cheaper, and they don't have the regulations which, for instance, if you know anything about the Australian Environmental Protection Agency, they try and do one thing in Tasmania and they say no fucking thank you. You know what I mean? Like, there is so much backlash from the Greens, and the Greens such an excellent political party in Australia. Even from trying to mine coal in up in North Queensland and get something through the Great Barrier Reef. But in Australia and more advanced countries where the dollar can be talked against, then the environment has some sort of chance. But in these third world countries where simply they've got no money, they need money, and that's that, then it is just open slather for them to do anything that they need to get that cash.
Yeah.
And if you do a bit of research on corporate waste management and that sort of thing in South America and throughout Southeast Asia, and you just see the total the devastation of what we've had to do just to maintain this money. And I'll be the devil advocate here. People say, well, if we don't do that, then how are you going to get what you want? How are you going to get your luxury? How are you going to get your, that you take for granted? And what I say to that is I say, well, we got this problem with the system what we're going to have to deal with eventually, and that problem is growth. So the system relies on just utter and absolute, capitalism relies on utter and absolute growth to maintain some sort of consistency in it. And it's not even like it gets like so much better and better, but like it just grows and it just maintains consistency. As soon as growth stops for a little bit, then we crash. You know what I mean? So we're getting to a stage with our population density that this growth can't continue. And when that growth stops, we have to completely devise a new system because capitalism is not going to work. So when you start thinking that we don't have to grow anymore, that's when you need change, because growth is
the only way the economy can work.
Well, this is the example I used, and I said just before. So you got growth in that. If you ask each individual, you walk up and down the street and you ask anyone, would you like to work 5 days a week and grow the economy, or would you like to work 2 or 3 days a week and not grow the economy? And that would mean if you work 2 or 3 days, you might have to wait an extra couple of weeks to get that thing in the mail that you ordered from overseas, or you might have to wait. You might have to line up for a bit longer in a shopping centre or do this and that. But guess what? You got a 4 or 5 day weekend. Would you rather that, or would you rather everything super fast speed, but you have to work 5 or 6 days a week for it? I'm pretty sure I know what everyone would choose.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about only the short-term period of where labour translates to the speed of things happening, which doesn't always have to be the case. Obviously, when technology improves, we can get things done and in an environmentally stable way. I think one of the massive... Where you go? One of the massive points to make is that the economy is kind of seen as like a science. When we talk about the theory of economics and theories in economics, there doesn't seem to be any inclusion of environmental factors and the resource with which we're dealing with to even have this economy, with which we're applying the economy to, the earth. There doesn't seem to be any rules or limitations or conditions applied to economics, given the state of the earth. And I think surely that's our answer, in that the economy can never work properly. It can never be in full harmony and balance and work with us on our planet for the benefit of the planet and the humans because of that. It doesn't.
I like using the analogy with that sort of reference. The analogy is like we know we've got a tumour on this planet, which is us, and the economic system is a tumour. But, we're not going to cut it out. We're just going to let it grow for a while and then see what happens. You know what I mean? We're not going to operate just yet. We're just going to let it grow and grow and grow and then see what happens. It's a bold strategy. Let's see if it pays off. You know what I mean?
Do you mean the Earth's not going to cut it off?
No. We have the opportunity to operate and change it for the better. Operate and cure the disease. But we choose not to. We choose to just let it run. And everyone in power, all our politicians, they all know the situation. Okay, they all know we live on a finite planet. We can't keep growing. Okay, eventually we're going to have to deal with climate change, and they introduce all this carbon tax and all this bullshit. But there's all this research out there saying that the carbon tax, in the amount of time it's going to take, will have absolutely no effect on what we need to do. And it's not only even if it had a slight effect, even if it had a 20% effect, 30% effect, whatever fucking effect. We need full 100% complete change effect. If we're going to do it in time, we need full stop burning. That's it. Everyone has to fucking come together and not do it anymore. It's never going to happen.
The only reason that why are we still drilling oil when we've got solar power? Because of money. That's the only reason.
Yeah, because they've got just massive money interests.
That's the
Massive
only
money.
reason, though. The only reason we are still hurting our
If
earth
we're
in
gonna
such
use
ways
that-
is because of money. The incentive of money and the fear of losing jobs. Those
Well,
fucking jobs.
if we're on the subject of documentaries, Michael Rupert and Collapse is an amazing documentary. It's actually one of the first I really watched like 3 or 4 times, and he talks about peak oil scenario, and he believes it's up and gone. So peak oil is, if you look at a sort of a hill graph and it's in a nice curve, peak oil is at the very top of that hill. So whatever oil you produce after peak oil, after the pinnacle of peak oil, means that you use more barrels than what you pull out of the ground. A lot of people saying we're past that. So no matter how you look at it, price is continually going to go up forever until the point, and if you think of the hill graph, the nice curved slope on the top, sooner or later that slope just drops straight down, goes straight down to straight down, because we hit apparently at the moment. You could actually Google it, but I don't think it's 100% relevant. But we are definitely we're using millions more barrels a day than what we're actually pulling out. And if you actually do a little bit of research, Saudi Arabia is no longer drilling. Who has the biggest oil? What is it called? An oil cavity?
I don't know.
Under the ground?
Oil reserve.
Oil reserve under the ground. They're no longer drilling on land. They're now drilling in the sea. And if you actually drill in the sea, it takes so much oil and energy to just get the oil out of the ground that you really need to find out where, and they would never admit that they're fucking running out of oil. You know what I mean? So, and if we're going to go down the oil path for another minute here, if you don't know what oil actually produces, oil is pretty much the main reason why we are here in such great numbers, because oil has helped globalisation, oil has helped to ship everything around the world. There is a gallon of oil in every tyre, there's a gallon of oil in every paint job in every car. The engine is actually made from oil. You can't make a car engine, let alone run a car engine, if there's no oil on it. There's 10 hydrocarbons of oil in every calorie of food, 10 hydrocalories of food in every calorie of food we eat. That's how much it takes us to get our food onto our plate. For all crops are used with petroleum-based pesticides and herbicides. That's the way they're actually made. All crops are harvested and planted by oil-based machines. So every single thing that we do in this life has something to do with oil. And once that goes, my friends...
I like to think about that as, so you're talking about, we've started to drill oil more now, and our population, that's correlated with an massive increase in population.
Well, and antibiotics.
And I like antibiotics. I like to think of it as oil essentially is the lifeblood of all the living things that have ever lived in the history of the earth, all condensed into one. So if you think about just energy itself, then we have taken out all this energy, such energy-dense stuff, and we've applied it to our living here, and that's what's giving us the energy to increase our population. So it's almost like, if you look at it like that, then when this oil goes, our population is going to die off. If you look at it as a direct correlation, oil goes, then our population decreases.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's energy isn't there.
And then also, you can also just look down the documentary path. Films for Action, I believe, has a whole section on peak oil, like hundreds of documentaries just on peak oil, and there's one called Biofuel, and there was this guy that developed this engine that ran on used cooking oil, and there's this other guy. What's that one called? The one how it explains the guy who sold the technology for the first hydro powered car.
Oh, and the FBI.
Yeah, Mobil, Exxon Mobil, or I think Shell brought the rights to in the 60s. This guy invented a hydro-powered car that ran on water, and it wasn't fast, but it did like 400 kilometres to like a fucking 2-litre drum of water, and Shell brought the technology, and this whole documentary on them trying to get Shell to release the technology. And there's this technology around. Like there's a guy in Sydney. I think it's where is it? Yeah, I don't think it might be Australia, New Zealand. I don't know. But there's this guy that has invented a car that can go 100 kilometres an hour on compressed air
Yeah.
for 450 kilometres on a can